Okay, so someone asked me to post a tutorial demonstrating how to use an append query. So first of all, there are multiple types of queries. Generally, when you hear someone just say, well, I'm going to run a query, they're actually talking about what's known as a select query. A select query, as the name suggests, selects data, doesn't actually modify it. You might be lining up data from multiple tables, but you haven't actually modified any of the underlying tables. You've just selected data to be viewed. The type of query we're going to look in this one is known as an append query. What it does is it takes rows from one table and merges them into rows on another table. Why would you want to do this? Well, I can think of a few reasons. The example we're going to use are you have two separate HR, human resource tables, and you need to merge them together. Why would you have two? Well, maybe you just bought another company. Maybe you just hired a bunch of people from a temp agency. Well, not so much that you hired them, so much as you need their data in your underlying tables in order to manage their access and things like that. So, we're going to therefore merge two tables. So let's take a look. Now, you see some tables here. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. If there's anything relevant about these tables, I'll let you know. Basically, I just didn't want you to have to sit through the tedium of data entry. So here's the HR table, HR all EEs. Got name, first name, last name, badge number, hire date, job code, and some blank rows, or blank columns rather, blank columns. I'm going to handle these in a different tutorial. This is going to be for the update tutorial, not the append tutorial. So what we want to do is we don't want to modify these columns. We want to add more rows, and that's what append does. So let's take a look at new EEs. As you can see, you have new employees. So again, first name, last name. Now, as it just so happens, I used exactly the same name, so that makes it easy. But since this is introductory, that's the whole point. And so the idea is you want these four to be merged into this table, so you have 8. Now, because it's 4, you're like, well, why can't you just copy and paste? You could. But again, demonstrative purposes, this could be hundreds or thousands of employees. Now, how does this work? Let's go up to Create, and we go to Query Design. So this area here is the design area for the query. This is where you're going to be managing the tables. Now, if you notice, this window opens up. You can use this if you want to select the various tables, but honestly, I find this to be clutter. Why? Because you can just drag and drop them right from here. You just click and drag and drop and bring them into the work area here. So I find really no value to having that separate selector. You can use it if you want. Just want to let you know what's there, but I personally see no point to it. Okay, so this is what I was saying about how a default query is a select query. Well, we don't want a select query. We want an append query. So before we get into that, I do want to mention one more thing about the underlying tables. Depending how you run an append query, you might get duplicate rows. So what I did was this. In the underlying HR table, okay, like as I said, I'd mention anything that's relevant. The badge number here, if you go to View and you go to Design, badge number, see this little key? It means it's the primary key. I am not allowing any duplicates to this. And that's going to prevent the duplicates because depending how you run the append, you could get duplicate rows. So let's do it. So drag and drop HR all EEs and bring over new EEs. Okay. So now we go to back to design and we make this an append. Sorry, badge number showed up here. I think I was experimenting with something. We'll just delete that. Sorry about that. So we go to append to table name, HR all EEs. Okay, so we're saying we want to take data, and when this query runs, the point is to append data to this table, which would be this one. Okay, well, what do we want to append to it? Well, we want to append really everything. Almost. This field is not in this table. So let's take everything. Actually, we can take that one too. I'll show you what we're going to do with it. What we're going to do, let's skip it for now. We'll get to that one in a minute. So what does this say? It says field EE first name in new EES table. So this table, this field. So this field from this table is going to be appended to this field in this table. We designated that a few seconds ago up here. Same thing, EE last name from new EE's table will be put into the EE last name of HR all EEs. So this, as you saw, it did this automatically all on its own. And so on and so forth. Criteria? Nope, no criteria. We're just going to say take everything and drop it in. So we run. You're about to append 16 rows. See, that's what we're saying about the duplicates. There's only 4 rows, but it's going to do 1 for each, or 1 for every, I should say. But because we made a primary key that does not allow for duplicates, you get this. Microsoft set 0 fields to null. That's good. We didn't want anyone set to null. It did not add 12 records. So of the 16, it only added 4, which is what we want because we don't want duplicates due to key violation. So you could just click on yes. Now we go back to HR all EEs, and there you go. It's been merged. You now have all 8 of them in the same table. Now let's make a change. So we're going to undo that. You can't just do undo because once you've changed data, that's it. You've changed it. So we want to get rid of Albert, Moira, Chris, and Jill. So Jill, Chris, Albert, Moira. In other words, we just removed this table. So let's do it again. But now we're going to put in some criteria. So this is where we're going to use the EE review. If we go back to the new review table, you can see that Jill, Chris, and Moira were all rated 5. Albert was rated as 0. So this is where criteria comes in. We're saying that we will not, let's do it this way. Three of them were ranked 5, one of them was ranked as a 0. What this is saying, only bring these records over if they're ranked a 5. So watch what happens. See, it only added 9 records. Or rather, it couldn't add, it only added 3, my apologies. It could not add 9, it could only add 3 because that last one was excluded. So now you have Jill, Chris, Rebecca, Leon, Moira, Barry, and Claire. Notice, Albert did not come over. Why? Because Albert is a 0, and the query says only bring them over as a 5. Everyone else is a 5. So that's really the basis of doing a append query. I haven't done one in a while, so my apologies if it's a little rough around the edges. But that's the basics. There's other ways to avoid those duplicates, and you certainly can get more complex with criteria. But I think that should give you the basics. If you have any questions, just let me know.